The magnitude cannot be overstated. What we see in Minnesota is not a handful of bad actors committing crimes.
It's all bad actors.
A staggering
industrial.
Everybody's a bad actor.
Fraud.
Yep.
It's swamping Minnesota and calling into question everything we know about our state.
But Tim Walz and his administration are pushing back, saying there was only a little bit of fraud.
What you're seeing here is you're seeing a weaponization. We'll continue to fix it. They're going to continue to come up with numbers that don't have it there, and it's sensationalized. I don't expect anything different from this administration.
The evidence that we have indicates tens of millions of dollars in fraud. There isn't a final number at this point.
Bro, look at him.
After arriving at a phase jump inhibitor. Military structure complete.
Look at it. You did it, man. Just look at him. That's all you gotta do.
After arriving at a phase jump inhibitor.
You 100% fucked up. It's so obvious. Exactly. He knows he's cooked. Look at that, guys. This is supposed to be the governor. This is embarrassing.
In fraud. There isn't a final number at this point, but we don't have evidence to suggest that level of fraud or a $9 billion number.
Jesus.
But Governor Walz can't hide from this story, as House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer is investigating the scandal and is determined to uncover the truth.
He's going to have to answer questions about the billions, not millions, not hundreds of millions, billions of dollars of fraud that we see wasted in Minnesota. And the fact that, according to state whistleblowers, state employees in Minnesota, most of whom are Democrats, they allege that they alerted both Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison about this fraud, and they did nothing about it because they didn't want to offend that massive Somali population.
I think that that's true. I believe that. I do. I think that's clearly what's happening here. Is that they don't want to offend these people. They don't want to come off and be seen as racist or targeting the community. So because of that, they're just afraid of addressing it. I think that's exactly what's going on.
Guy, this to me, if there was ever an investigation to be had, and Republicans were ever going to take time to investigate anything, I would say this would probably be it. And I don't think Minnesota is where it should stop. I think Minnesota is where it should start, because I have a feeling many other states, we could probably uncover some billions with the B. But I know you and I both saw it.
Yeah, she's completely right.
About this massive
shit.
welfare fraud in general and SNAP fraud. I mean, it spans a lot of different categories, right? But if you break down the numbers, I think we saw a real staggering one about how much money we're actually being robbed of in this country.
Yeah, I mean, you can go through any of the numbers, actually. Starting just in Minnesota, it seems like what we're hearing from the governor there is, oh, the Republicans are making up numbers. No, this was a federal prosecutor after a very in-depth.
Well, I mean, was it fucking? Did they steal the money or not? It's fucking obvious. Like, what are we doing here?
Substantial investigation into what he called industrial scale fraud.
I think there's fraud's bad, obviously, business due to negligence. It's not like he directly handled the money. It was on his tenure. What I think happened is that I think this fraud was like, this is my guess. And again, I could be wrong about this, but this is the way I think these people operate. Is that this fraud was consolidated around probably a majority Somalian group, and they didn't want to go after them because they thought that it would damage their relations with that community, that racial community in their area, and they were afraid of doing that because it might look bad. So basically, they probably categorized criticism and the pursuance of addressing the fraud with kid gloves or with no gloves at all. They didn't even try. And I think that's what happened. I think that and you're right that there's fraud that happens everywhere, and it's not like this is some like unique thing that happened because they're Somali. Now, I think there's plenty of white people committing fraud too, but in this circumstance, I do think that's what happened, because you've seen how hard they go to try to like justify, you know, like high levels of like welfare, and you know, you've got the mayor there in wherever the fuck that is, Dearborn, Michigan, going out there speaking in Somalian. Like, I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, it's very obvious they're trying to court these people as voters, and I think that's the primary focus they have.
Join us in peace.
That's what they're doing.
And prosper.
It's completely niche because of the amount of scams. By no means is it an excuse. They're cowards and complicit allowing it to happen. No, I'm just explaining why I think it happened.
Civilian structure
It just seems like people are overly pissed off because it's Tim Walz and not because it actually happened. Thank you, fraud is bad. Well, the problem why they're mad at Tim Walz is, number one, like, he's well known because he just ran for vice president, and so he has a high profile. And the other reason is because Minnesota has this unique problem of a completely unassimilated culture of people that are Somalian primarily, that have a different religion, they don't speak the same language, they look different, and that does matter. Of course, people are going to notice that. And also they want to, in a lot of cases, bring their like tribal conflicts from Somalia and make decisions for voting in America because of that. And then you listen to their translated speeches from, you know, their language into American language, and they're more right-wing than we are, but only whenever it comes in regards to their own country. So it's interesting that they are, you know, massive nativist nationalists whenever it comes to Somalia, but they come over to America and they want us to be this completely open democratic society where everybody's the same. Yeah, I mean, that's really what happened. I mean, and again, and their own values, they don't even reflect their own values. And not only that, but they are advocating for openly, and you even have politicians advocating for openly, racial voting. They're saying, vote for this person because I'm going to help this community of people because I'm one of you. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't think that's a good thing to do. I think it's very bad. So yeah, I mean, that's the truth. And I don't think that any of this, by the way, is unique to Somalia. Like, this isn't like, oh, wow, Somalians are bad and they're the only ones that are bad. Not all bad, obviously, but whenever you allow a group of people to do something like this, you have to address it for what it is, obviously. And so the fact is that it's bad no matter who's doing it, but I think that because this is a minority immigrant group, that because of that, they're receiving extra defense.
We sense that an enemy has fallen.
In the state of Minnesota, all presided over
liberals inviting foreign nationalists. There it is. Yep.
Governor Tim Walz, and out of one side of his mouth, Walz is trying to say, like, oh, we're going to fix it, and it's bad. Out of the other side of his mouth, he's like, well, it's really not that much. It's only tens of millions, according to his little minion there.
Oh, that's it.
And that means they are not ever going to be serious about this. They are perfectly comfortable with their taxpayers being robbed blind for political and identity reasons, and he just wants to get reelected next year. So he wants to pretend like this is some sort of GOP witch hunt, when in fact, the prosecutor in this case, and we saw a bit in that clip from him, I just want to read one more quote from him, talking about why it is especially bad in Minnesota. Quote, Minnesota has become a magnet for fraud, so much so that we have developed a fraud tourism industry. People coming to our state purely to exploit and defraud its programs. Those are the
two guys, and this is happening even inside of the United States. This isn't even Somalians. It's just two guys came from Pennsylvania that did this too. It's very clearly that, like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Settling reality.
That's how it is.
All Minnesotans should understand. It is so bad in Minnesota that people from around the world, it seems, are traveling there to steal from taxpayers, and that's the response we're seeing from the governor.
It's like Disneyland.
Pathetic.
You know, Joey, we invite the third world, and in return, they rob us blind. But that's such a nice, generous gift they've given back to us. I mean, Tim Walz has made a big thing about, don't say it's the Somalis. But when you look at the fraud, it was done by the Somali population. So he wants to make it about race.
Well, it was never happened. The thing is that the initial criticism of the fraud was about the fraud. But then they defended the criticism of the fraud with racism accusations. So they were the ones that brought up this entire idea that, oh, you're just targeting them because they're Somalian and making up this bullshit. So the fact is that you're right.
What does the unity will?
You know, it's not necessarily it's racial, and like, yeah, they are there, but not like every Somalian is a scammer. Like, that's not the issue. But whenever you use a racial defense and you take the entire racial or ethnic group of people and you say that this is an attack on them, well, then that's going to make people think that it is.
We await a worthy foe.
That's what's happening.
Let's make it about identity. The mayor there wants to eat Somali food.
They made it themselves about identity. They did that to try to defend themselves.
Almost throw up and say, I love the Somalis, but I don't don't think they're understanding that we don't care because it's their race or their religion. We care because it's a group of
$9 million fucking dollars. $9 billion fucking dollars. Yeah.
People who are doing it. And to Guy's point, apparently they're doing it in a well-organized way, and they targeted this state for it.
Yeah, I don't care about their race. I do care about their country of origin. I mean, Rob O'Neill, if you don't know who he is the man who shot bin Laden. He put the book out. But before that, or after that, I'm not sure, he also was on the team that saved Captain Phillips. And he posted on X today, yeah, the Somalis are world famous for being pirates. Of course, they came here to steal and defraud us. He's like, it's a...
Let me investigate.
Oh, God.
Jump dry.
Part of their culture. I don't know how you call that racist. If it's true, it's true. I mean, I don't have to go back to Mogadishu to see these problems. But I will say this when it comes to what's being said is never snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. If it's a $1 billion scam, that's huge. If it's a $500 million scam,
that's massive.
That's huge.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope Joe Thompson knows exactly what he's talking about when he uses the $9 billion number, because I don't want Tim Walz and Democrats to have an argument at all to go back.
Truth can still be racist. People talking about whether it's racist or not. I can promise you that trying to micromanage and tell people that they can't express certain opinions because you're going to call them racist, even if that opinion is accurate or people think that opinion is accurate, you can't just say that's racist and then somebody is going to be like, oh, okay, I guess I don't think that anymore. That doesn't work anymore. It's never going to work again, probably, or at least not for a long time. So you have to address the nature of the argument rather than just simply try to condemn the argument. It doesn't work anymore.
Our fleet is trapped after arriving.
You have to engage with this.
Join us in peace.
The voters and deceive them with them. Well, they're blowing it out of proportion. It's not that big of a deal. So I hope when he says
who cares anymore? Nobody. Nobody cares.
Because I don't want them to
it's on
get
cooldown. Yeah, it is.
To have a rebuttal, because this is egregious. I mean, so overtly egregious.
It's bad.
And to Joey's point, the question is how quickly can they prosecute these cases? And that's going to rack up the honest total when it all gets to the end of it. And these cases can be hard to prosecute and to prove and to chase down money trails. The House Oversight Committee, this letter to Keith Ellison, the prosecutor here in this case, they make the argument that the state essentially knew that this fraud was happening and allowed it to occur.
I think it's true.
Letter, it says a June 2024 report from the Minnesota Department of Education found that the threat of litigation and negative press from providers engaged in the fraud schemes affected how state officials use their regulatory power. A former fraud investigator in the Attorney General's office said that state regulators, especially those in the Democratic administration, were reluctant to take action in response to the allegations involving the Somali community. So there were concerns for the government protecting itself, is the allegation.
They didn't want to be called a name in the local or national press.
Yeah.
No, I think also they wanted to cover up fucking up, too. Like, I mean, there is also, like, there's the ideological reason, and then there's also the logical reason, where it's like, we don't want to get called out for fucking this up, so we're going to pretend like you're racist, so that way you can't talk about this. That's it.
Allowed their taxpayers and all of us to be robbed blind. What a Christmas tale.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey.
Oh, wow. What a Christmas tale. Yeah, I want to see these people go to jail. I do. Like, if these people allowed the money and they knew the money was going back to Somalia, what I think should happen is they should get charged for treason, because you're reallocating money from the government, and you're supposed to serve the government, and you're reallocating government money to another government. I think that's treason, really. It's just that simple. And I mean, at that point, everything, it's a sanctioned country also. Yeah, I think anything's on the table, whether it be capital punishment, whether it's like, life imprisonment or anything else in between. I would totally be okay with it. And I think that's what needs to happen. It does. And unfortunately, I don't think that Trump is going to do that. I don't think that he The problem is Trump likes to talk a lot about doing stuff. He doesn't like to do stuff as much as he likes to talk about it, right? So if you'll visa to be revoked, oh no, I don't think that's enough. So yeah, this is true. I think it is. I do. I think it is. And yeah, it's very annoying. Would you bring back firing squads? I don't know. I don't really give a shit about how it happens, right? I have no idea. So yeah, I'll talk no action, but that's what I would do, and that's what I hope happens. But I don't think that it necessarily will. But some of these people do need to go to jail at least, right?
And prosper.
Powering phase engines. Our will is transcendent.
It's time for lefties losing it, and get ready to lose some functioning brain cells, because we're going to bring you some diabolically dumb takes from the dim-witted left, starting with Don Lemon. You remember him? He was sacked by CNN after 17 years in the network. That followed accusations of misogyny and misbehaviour. And then there were his terrible ratings. Then he was sacked by Elon Musk after a disastrous interview, but he's still out there spewing his terrible takes, often race-based takes. Here he claims you cannot be black and be MAGA. Just listen to this and marvel at how a man this divorced from reality was able to be a network anchor for so long.
It's the same thing that when I see not all black Republicans, but I see a black MAGA person who is carrying Donald Trump's water and they know that he's lying. It is the shortest line to the front. Because if you're black and you're whatever, you're just in line with a bunch of other Democrats that are doing the same thing that you're doing. But if you become a black MAGA person, it's like, whoa, let's book this person, let's put him on television.
So you don't think you can be a sincere black MAGA person?
No, I just said, I don't think that, I just said, I think there can be sincere Republicans.
But you can't be a sincere black Republican?
I don't think that you can be a rational MAGA, be black and be a rational MAGA person. I think you can be black and be a Republican.
I think they would find that very insulting.
Well, I mean, the truth is often insulting.
The truth is often insulting, and the truth is Don Lemon is a race-baiting simpleton who managed to fail his way up at CNN until even they had enough of his nonsense. As well as being a certifiable clown, he's also hugely ineffective. Here he is on CNN explaining how he campaigned for Kamala Harris by going around telling black men in battleground states that they were essentially dumb if they supported Trump.
I went from battleground state to battleground state. When they invited me to the convention, I didn't just want to fly there. I said, I'm going to go and talk to voters in battleground states, and I did. It was not curated. I went up to people just doing man on the street. I said, who are you going to vote for? Black men. And time after time after time, they said, I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Why?
Now, the reasons why. They said, because most of the time they said, well, for economic reasons, right? Or because he gave me a stimulus check, and I had to correct them over and over.
Can't believe that didn't work out. But old mate Don is not alone in being hopelessly out of touch, hopelessly clueless about real people and what motivates them. Let's hear now from two awfuls, affluent white female lefties, former NBC and CBS host Katie Couric and an alleged historian, Heather Cox Richardson. Here she claims that Donald Trump is suffering cognitive decline. Not Joe Biden, but Donald Trump.
Katie, the man is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He really is. And that to me is, everybody's like, oh,
the ego knows no bounds.
The item is complete.
No, the ego has never known any bounds. But the ego used to be anchored at least in a brain that could finish a sentence. And it's not there anymore. I promise you. I watched this man a lot. And I'm not a doctor. I'm telling you, if he were in my family, we would be looking at care.
What does the unity will? Katie Couric had some credibility. Me neither. The way these people lie is just shameless. Gross. Let's check in on how President Trump is doing. One thing is for sure, he is the funniest president we've ever had.
He didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged again.
Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with nobody will show up. Nobody shows up to his event.
He said back in 2006, gee, I hope it does collapse because then I can go in and buy some and make some money. Well, it did collapse.
That's called business, buddy.
Military structure complete.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
It's amazing. Phase engines.
I mentioned food stamps, and that guy who's seriously overweight went crazy.
Military structure complete.
Whoever the hell brought this mic system, don't be the son of a to put it in, I'll tell you.
Military structure complete.
No, this mic is terrible. Power. Stupid mic keeps popping. Do you hear that, George?
Arriving at a phase jump inhibitor. Civilian structure complete.
You know, I believe in paying.
We await the
but when
Unity's
somebody
command.
does a bad job like this
The
stupid
enemy
mic,
has
you
used a
shouldn't pay the
newly
best.
built phase jump inhibitor to trap our fleet.
As I said, he's the funnest president we'll ever have. Now, we love nothing more than mocking the dangerously delusional left, but it doesn't get much more delusional and dim-witted than a member of the LGBTQIA++ community cheering for Palestine. They've been doing it for years now, and the levels of idiocy are only increasing. Listen to this clown giving a shout-out to what he calls trans-Palestinians.
I want to give a special shout out to all the Palestinians. Not only are we honored to have you as part of our community, but Palestine is the moral compass of the world.
Palestine is the moral compass of the world, so the moral compass of the world is virulently anti-gay, anti-trans, anti-everything LGBTQIA. You don't have to worry about pronouns in Gaza or the West Bank. You have to worry about staying alive. No rooftop parties, but the Turks in the West keep cheering for Christmas.
If we prevail, we will know our path.
That was the UK, Manchester, and here is another turkey cheering for Christmas in song.
And this song is written for Palestine, and here you have it. We are laid in the rubble of our hopes and dreams, marching out while our voices for the world to see, busting away from the hatred of the Israelis.
That is enough of that.
The story she represents is Mia's
The arc reactor is obsolete. Ironheart takes flight with wind and solar energy. In the first Iron Man movie, to power an incredibly advanced, versatile suit like Iron Man's, you needed a colossal energy source, the arc reactor. This was a coveted technology, desired by many but possessed by few. The arc reactor's power was reportedly on par with a small nuclear reactor, providing enough energy for Iron Man's most sophisticated suit on the planet. However, by Ironheart 2025, everything changes dramatically. Riri Williams, who proclaims herself a genius surpassing Iron Man, doesn't need an arc reactor at all. She simply charges her suit like a cell phone, combining it with natural energy sources like wind and solar power, and the suit flies perfectly. What's more, while Tony Stark tirelessly coded Jarvis his entire life, Riri just needed her computer to scan her brainwaves overnight to get AI just as capable as Tony Stark's Jarvis. What do you think about Ironheart's charging technology? The arc reactor is obsolete. Ironheart takes flight with wind and solar energy. In the first Iron...
I'll deal with the Celestials. You go on ahead and find out what's going on.